All right, hey guys, Mr. Kyle, Myers Mathematics, and let's just jump right back into it. This is the last question on Algebra 1, Kuta software, worksheets by Myers Mathematics. Solving systems of equations with substitution. So we have to use substitution method, at least at the beginning. I guess it's more of a question if you're going to do elimination than substitution. But if we're going to do substitution at the front end, we usually also do it to solve for the other variable as well. Because there's two variables. There's an x and there's a y. We want to solve for both. You solve for one first. It doesn't matter that much which one you pick, but you want to pick one of them, and then you solve for the other one. So without further ado, we want to figure out which one, either x or y, we're going to solve for, and then we plug that into the other equation. So usually if there's a letter without a number being multiplied by it, we pick that one. Pretty much everything is multiplied by something. Even the y that's right here is multiplied by a -1. If it was just a positive one, you'd only have to just add 2x to both sides, and then you'd have y solved for. However, if I multiply both sides by a negative in this yellow equation here, everything would be positive because there's 3 negative things. If I made them all positive, then it would look like that. It would look like 2x plus y is equal to 9. Now that is a step, so this is still 2 steps, but I think it's the easiest variable to solve for. You don't have to pick the easiest one. You can just go for it. I could have also added y to both sides and then divided both sides of the yellow equation by -2, and that would solve for x. Then I could plug that into the other equation. In the second equation, 5x minus 2y equals 18, I could add 2y to both sides and then divide by 5. Or I could have subtracted 5x on both sides and then divided both sides by -2. So there's 4 different things. There's technically more than 4, but four good things you could have picked. And I think out of all those 4 options, this one is perhaps the easiest because you just kind of flip the negatives on the first equation, and then we would subtract 2x on both sides. All right, so I do that, subtract that 2x, and I get that y is equal to 9 minus 2x. Okay, well, what about in the other equation, which we will make the blue equation? Blue and yellow make green. So what about in the other equation? Well, it's 5x minus 2y equals 18. However, we know that y is equal to 9 minus 2x. So I can rewrite this equation, and instead of putting y, I can put what y is equal to. Y is equal to 9 minus 2x. So instead of putting y next to the 2, I can put 9 minus 2x in its place. You have to make sure you have a parentheses in there, though. Most of the time, it's important. You can always, put the parentheses there and not really need it. But if you don't put the parentheses there and you did need it, then that'll mess you up. So, recommend putting a parentheses there, even if you don't need it. And we have this. And then stuff starts combining. So 5x. Let me move this up a little bit here. So 5x. And then we're going to start combining some blue and yellow to make green here. 2 times 9 is 18. You can check me on that math if you want to. 2 times 2 is 4. Those are both negative, so it's going to be positive 4x equal to 18. And I can combine some like terms. I'm not going to get crazy with some tertiary colors. We're just going to say that's green. So that's going to be 9x minus 18, still equal to 18. We're going to add 18 to both sides. So be careful not to assume what's going to happen. I had a flash of a thought where it's like, oh, look, 18's on both sides. Maybe it's going to cancel. Like I had a flash of that thought in my head. And so I know that some of you guys might do this too, where you're like, oh, hey, what if that's supposed to happen? Because you kind of like want things to be orderly. It's like this, it's like built into our brains. We want things to be orderly. We want to avoid chaos and move towards order. However, It's math. So you have to follow the rules. You can't just do whatever you want. If it's minus 18 over here, we have to add it to both sides to get rid of it, not subtract it. So this would not be 0. It would be 9x is equal to 18 plus 18, aka 36. So be really careful with assuming that we're going to try to like tend towards order. We're going to, do something. Yeah, so just follow the math. Just try to be as robotic as you can, and you'll get there. All right, so x is equal to 4. I'm going to circle that, not box it yet, because in pretty much all of these examples that I've been doing, especially doing them one at a time like this, it's good to check to make sure you got the right answer. So let's plug in that x value that we just solved for. This is also substitution method. Plug that in, so that's y is equal to 9 minus 2 times that, which would be 8. All right, so then y is equal to 9 minus 8, which is 1. So y is equal to 1. Okay, now we have both. So technically, we have both the x and the y. Now, we could move on. You could be done at this point. However, it doesn't take that long to check. It's really, really worth it, especially if you're taking a test and you want to make sure you get a good grade. Right? If you're watching this because you're behind, not only do you want to understand how to do it, but you want to increase your grade, because if you've waited and then you've gotten a couple bad grades and you're trying to make up your grades, you want to try to get really, really good grades to outweigh the bad ones that you might have already gotten and can't replace. You have to just kind of move forward. So you want to try to get as close to 100 on everything moving forward if you're going to try to improve your grade. And I know maybe that might be a big jump for some of you guys, but if you check your work, you will see a big improvement because you'll know that you have the right answer, okay? And if you find that you don't have enough time to check all your answers on a test, then maybe you need to do more practice. Just being real with you, because I see some people, they can do nice, math problems, but they go really slow, which means that maybe you just don't have enough practice to where you can kind of like just go a little faster. You don't want to force yourself to rush through, because then that's how you make mistakes. But if you practice more, you'll naturally just get better at it and then naturally just get faster at it. Okay, so anyways, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. We're going to go ahead and plug in our x and our y. But notice, we just got y is equal to 1 in the yellow equation. So the most recent equation that we plugged into was the yellow one, which means that if we're going to check our answer, we plug it into the blue equation. So in the blue equation, I have 5, and I'll put what x is equal to right there, minus 2, and I'll put what y is equal to right there, and then equal to 18. Okay? So then x goes right here, y goes right here. And the nice thing about checking this is if you're allowed to use a calculator, even if it's only a 4-function calculator, plus, minus, times, and divide, you can check this really quickly on a calculator. So it doesn't take that long to check this, okay? It takes much longer for me to say that it doesn't take very long than it does to actually do the math, because there's not that much, actually. It's very, very little effort that you need to put in to check these sorts of answers to systems of equations. So it's definitely worth it. And look at that. 18 equals 18. Check. And that's much easier even in the calculator, because you just, in the calculator, 5 times 4 minus 2 times 1. What is that? Oh, 18. Oh, that's what's on the other side of the equation. And then you got it, and then you're done, and you know you have the right answer. The chances of missing a question after you've checked it, like how we just checked it, are so small. Like, you're more likely to get hit by a meteorite or win the lottery or something, okay? It's a very, very, very good way to check your work, all right? So I highly recommend it. It doesn't take that much extra effort. And you want to separate. Notice how I have columns. Keep your work organized. I don't try to line up my equal signs. I know some people do. They'll draw a line there. I never really did that. I think it's a great thing to do. Don't get me wrong. If you do that, don't stop doing that, because that's a great idea. I just don't, because I just never really was taught to do it that way. And I organize my stuff fairly well without having to put a line through my equal signs. So, if you already have a method that works for you and you're able to organize your work pretty well without having to do the line through the equal signs thing, Don't worry about it. But if you do notice that it's hard to keep track of your work, I would think about that. Put a line through all your equal signs. That way your equal signs stay nice and straight. And that way your work is nice and neat. It really helps. It really, really does. Stay neat, stay organized, stay disciplined, stay focused, and have fun. All right, so that's it for today. If you liked the video, do the like, do the subscribe, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Tell me tell me that my hairline is terrible or something in the comments. I dare you. Go ahead, because it'll help the algorithm. So anything you put in the comments helps. So just yeah, go ahead and do that. If you want to see other content, there's other stuff on YouTube. There's also stuff on my website, Myers Mathematics, and the link to that is in the description below. So go check that out as well. And yeah, y'all have a good day. Blessings.